Hello students, welcome to my educational channel Easy Ed. Today we will continue our chapter 3 and the next class of plant kingdom, that is Bryophytes. Bryophytes, we will first consider their general characters. Bryophytes include mosses and liverworts. Mosses and liverworts are included under Bryophytes. They are found in moist, shaded areas in hills. They are found commonly growing in moist, shaded areas in the hills. Now, bryophytes are also called as amphibians of animal kingdom. Why? Because these plants can live in soil but are dependent on water for their sexual reproduction. Means the whole life cycle is completed both in water as well as on land in moist soil. As the life cycle requires both the conditions, similarly, as you know, amphibians in animals, they live in water as well as land. So these bryophytes complete their life cycle in both land, that is soil, and in water. And so they are called as amphibians of plant kingdom because they are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. Bryophytes usually occur in damp, humid, and shaded places, shaded localities. Wherever you will find moist areas, damp conditions, bryophytes will grow there. They play an important role in plant succession on bare rocks or soil. On bare rocks or soil, they help in plant succession. In bryophytes, plant body is thallus. Now, you know what is thallus? Thallus means, as we have discussed in algae also, thallus means plant body is not differentiated into root, stem and leaves. It is a thallus body. Plant body is thalloid. But in bryophytes, plant body is more differentiated than of algae. Plant body is thallus-like and prostrate or erect, attached to the substratum by means of rhizoids. Means plant body is thalloid and it is attached to the substratum, means attached at the base. How? With the help of rhizoids. And what are rhizoids? Rhizoids are root-like structures. They are not roots, they are not true roots, but they are root-like, fine hair-like structures. They are called as rhizoids, and with the help of these rhizoids, the plant body of bryophytes is attached to the substratum. And these rhizoids may be unicellular or multicellular. Rhizoids may be unicellular or multicellular, and with the help of these rhizoids, bryophytes are attached to the substratum. So in bryophytes, true roots, stems or leaves are absent. As we have discussed, the plant body is thalloid. True roots, stem and leaves are absent here. Many of these bryophytes they may possess some structures which are root-like, stem-like or leaf-like. So, as we discussed just earlier, that plant body is more differentiated than algae. Main plant body is thalloid, but they may possess some root-like, leaf-like or stem-like structures. They are not true roots, stems and leaves. They are root-like, leaf-like and stem-like structures. Main plant body of bryophytes is gametophyte. We have discussed gametophyte and sporophyte. The life cycle of the plant is completed in two phases, gametophyte and sporophyte. So in bryophytes, main plant body is gametophyte, and gametophyte, if you all remember, is haploid. Okay, now listen carefully. Main plant body of the bryophytes is haploid in nature. It is gametophyte. Gametophyte is always haploid and it produces gametes. Gametophyte produces gametes. Gametophyte is haploid. Gametes produced will be haploid. So we can say that main plant body of the bryophytes is haploid. Now sex organs in bryophytes are multicellular. In bryophytes we have multicellular sex organs. And about sex organs, male sex organ is called as antheridium and female sex organ is called as archegonium. Now see the advancement. In biological classification also we have studied that the classes are arranged on the basis of hierarchy, and this hierarchy is on the basis of what? Complexity of structure, complexity of mechanisms, complexity of physiology. So we have seen in earlier groups, that is Monera, Protista, they don't have specific sex organs, separate male and female sex organs. They produce spores. Their sexual reproduction is a kind of sexual reproduction, and in sexual reproduction fungi etc produce spores. Algae also produce sexual spores. So they are different spores present in spore bearing bodies. Now here, as we are advancing, see, now from algae we have moved to bryophytes. Now in bryophytes they have different separate male and female sex organs. Male sex organ is called as antheridium and female sex organ is called as archegonium. Okay, now antheridium, that is male sex organ, will produce male gametes. Okay, antheridium is the male sex organ. It will produce male gamete. And what is the name of male gametes here? Antherozoids. So antheridium produces antherozoids. Means antheridium is the male sex organ which produces male gametes, that is antherozoids. And these antherozoids are biflagellate, means they bear two flagella. They are biflagellate. And female sex organ is flask shaped. Structure is like a flask and it produces female gamete, that is egg. And egg is single, means single egg is produced. So archegonium produces single egg, that is the female gamete. Simple. Male gamete will produce male sex organ will produce male gamete. Female sex organ will produce female gamete. Male gametes are antherozoids, they are biflagellate, and female gamete is egg. Now in sexual reproduction, male and female gamete will fuse to form zygote. Okay, antherozoids. When what happens? Just now I told you that for their sexual reproduction, bryophytes are dependent on water. So what happens? Antherozoids are released into water where they find archegonium. They come in contact with the archegonium. An antherozoid fuses with egg. Egg is single. So single antherozoid will fuse with single egg and it will produce zygote. Now main plant body is gametophyte. They are haploid. Antheridium, archegonium gametes, sex organs. They are haploid. They are producing haploid gametes. Now what happens? These haploid gametes fuse together to form zygote, and this zygote is diploid in nature. Now further what happens? This zygote grows and develops to form a multicellular body which is called as sporophyte. This zygote, formed as a result of fusion of male and female gamete, grows into a sporophyte, grows into a multicellular body. This is called as sporophyte. What happens in sexual reproduction? As soon as the zygote is formed, it undergoes meiosis. But here, zygote immediately does not undergoes reduction, division or meiosis. Okay, zygote immediately does not undergoes reduction, division or meiosis. But what happens? It grows into a multicellular body called as sporophyte. Remember, just now I told you plant life cycle is completed in two phases, gametophyte and sporophyte. Now here comes the sporophyte. This sporophyte is not free living. Okay, all right. In bryophytes, the sporophyte is not free living, but it is attached to the gametophyte. Sporophyte is attached to the gametophyte. I will show you a diagram I have drawn. See, this is the main thallus. Just now we studied plant bodies, thalloid. It is a thallus-like structure, plain flat-like structure. It is not differentiated into root, stems or leaves. Now this thallus bears a small hair-like structure which is called as rhizoids. These are rhizoids. With the help of these rhizoids, these bryophytes, this thallus is attached to the substratum. Now see here, another kind of bryophyte. Just as we discussed, they show root-like, leaf-like and stem-like structures. They are not true roots, stems or leaves, but they are root-like, leaf-like and stem-like structures. Now again you can see rhizoids here, which are root-like structures. Now what happens? As I just now I told you, this part of the body is gametophyte and this part of the body is sporophyte. Just now I told you sporophyte is not free living, it is attached to the gametophyte. In bryophytes, sporophyte is not free living, but it is attached to the gametophyte. And as you know, gametophyte is photosynthetic. Gametophyte, main plant body, just now we discussed, main plant body is gametophyte. It is photosynthetic, it produces foods. So this sporophyte is attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives its food from there. Alright. So the life cycle is completed in two phases, sporophyte and gametophyte. Sporophyte is multicellular body produced with the help of zygote and it is attached to the gametophyte for its nourishment, as gametophyte is photosynthetic. Now some cells of this sporophyte produce produce spores. And how? Now the reduction, division or meiosis takes place. So some cells of sporophyte undergo what? Meiosis or reduction, division. Cells of sporophyte, some cells of sporophyte undergo reduction, division, that is meiosis, and produce haploid spores. Alright. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo reduction, division to produce haploid spores, and these spores now grow, germinate and grow to form what? Gametophyte. See, simple thing. Plant body is completed in two phases, gametophyte and sporophyte. What happens? Gametophyte produces gametes. Just now we studied male gamete and female gamete. Male and female gamete fuse together to form zygote. Zygote grows and develops into sporophyte. Now here in sporophyte, some cells undergo reduction, division, that is meiosis, and they produce what? haploid spores. Now these haploid spores in turn grow and form, germinate and grow and form a new thallus, a new plant body, that is gametophyte. Understood the sexual reproduction in bryophytes? I will explain you with the help of chart also, flow diagram also. See, the main plant body is gametophyte, that is haploid. Just now I told you. This gametophyte produces gametes, separate male and female gametes, that is antherozoids and egg. Again, they will be haploid. These haploid gametes undergo fusion. They fuse together and form zygote. These haploid fuse together from zygote, which is diploid. Now zygote becomes diploid. This zygote then grows and forms sporophyte. Now zygote is diploid, sporophytes will be diploid. Some cells of this sporophyte undergo meiosis, reduction division, to form spores. Now these spores again, as reduction division has taken place, they are haploid. These haploid spores germinate and again they form gametophyte. See, this is the whole life cycle of bryophytes. Gametophyte haploid produces haploid gametes fused together to form diploid zygote. Zygote grows to form sporophyte, diploid. Sporophyte, some cells undergo reduction division, form haploid spores. Haploid spores germinate again to form gametophyte. See, this life cycle goes on like that. If you all remember, in biological classification in plant kingdom, I told you there is alternation of generation. Now there I told you that I am telling you in brief. Further you will understand it well. So see the same condition. What is alternation of generation? Life cycle of the plant body is completed in two phases. One is gametophyte and other is sporophyte. Gametophyte and sporophyte alternate with each other. Some phase is gametophytic, some phase is sporophytic. Gametophytes produce gamete. Gamete fuses to form zygote. Zygote forms a sporophyte. Sporophyte undergoes reduction division to form again spores which are haploid and they germinate to gamete. This is what gametophyte alternating with sporophyte. This is called as alternation of generation. And I also told you that the duration of the phases varies from species to species. And just now we studied in bryophytes, the main plant body means the maximum part of the life cycle is gametophyte. Means we can say that gametophyte is the dominant phase in bryophytes. All these things are asked in exams, so listen carefully, understand them well and learn them properly, and it will be very useful for you if you will learn by drawing these charts. You will get more marks if you make these charts in your exams also, and it becomes very evident and clear that we understand everything well. So main plant body, dominant phase of the life cycle in bryophytes is gametophyte, and gametophyte and sporophyte always are dependent on each other. Why? Because gametophyte will produce gametes which will fuse to form sporophyte. Sporophyte will produce spores. Spores will germinate to form gametophyte. So they are dependent on each other. And here in bryophytes, sporophyte is not free living. It is attached to the gametophyte. For what? For nourishment, as gametophyte is photosynthetic. Now coming to the economic importance or uses of bryophytes. Some mosses, bryophytes means mosses and liverworts. Some mosses are food providing for herbaceous mammals, birds and other animals. See, bryophytes in general are of little economic importance. They don't have very much economic importance, but whatsoever they are, we are discussing here. Learn them in under the heading of economic importance or uses. So some bryophytes, some mosses provide food for herbaceous mammals, birds and other animals. Species of a moss, Sphagnum. Sphagnum is a genus. A species of Sphagnum provides peat that is used as fuel and as packing material for transshipment of living material. Okay, a moss species, Sphagnum, provides peat which is used as a fuel and as packing material. Mosses help in ecological importance. Mosses have ecological importance. How? Mosses, along with lichens, are the first organisms to colonize rocks. We studied that in moist and damp places, in the cracks and the crevices of rocks, we can find the mosses. So, mosses, along with lichens, are the first organisms to colonize rocks, and hence they are of great ecological importance. They decompose rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. Okay, so they help in ecological, they have ecological importance. Since mosses form dense mats on the soil, plant body is thallus. Thallus is spread all over the soil, rocks, etc. So as they form dense mats on the soil, they reduce the impact of falling rain and prevent soil erosion. So mosses prevent soil erosion. They are of ecological importance. How? Because they decompose rocks and make the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. Some mosses provide food for herbaceous mammals, birds and other animals. Species of a moss, Sphagnum, provides peat which is used as fuel and as the packing material. So this was all about general characters of bryophytes. Next we will continue with the classification of bryophytes. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.